What up, guys? It's Dr. Vic, and you're listening to another episode here on the Mindful Experiment. Excited to have you here as we're going to dive deep today into a concept that I learned about 12 years ago. But just because I learned it 12 years ago doesn't mean I implemented it in my life. It took me a long time to do that. It had to be, you have to trial and error, and after trial and error, after road bump, after roadblock, after an obstacle that I faced in life, there came a point where I was like, okay, why is this happening? And why do I look at it this way? And then I started to go into some deep thought, deep meditation, and it started to open the door for me to see how I'm not only doing this in my life, but I saw so many others do this. And this is where the idea was born into coaching. Not that this was the only thing why I did coaching or I wanted to get into it, was because I started to see a simple pattern in human behavior. And I was like, okay, I've read these things, I've studied it, I looked at research, I've implemented it in my life, and it's been absolutely amazing at how it transformed things in a certain way. And I was like, okay, how can I help others with this now? Right? I tried to do this with patients to a certain degree. And then it was like, okay, I'm getting into coaching and I want to be able to help people on a mindset level. And so all the studying I've done with psychology and neuro linguistic programming and subconscious mind and, inner child stuff and all this different stuff, because I really wanted to not just be someone who can help someone on a short-term level and be like, oh yeah, we got you this level, great. It's, man, Doc, you transformed my life. You helped me on every fabric of life. And that's where Empower Reality was born. That's where the podcast got born. And so too many times in our life, we look at things from a one-sided coin. We think there's a one-sided magnet. We think there's a one-sided coin. And that does exist. I'm not saying it doesn't. It just doesn't exist yet in the human experience. We still are in the realms of law of duality. And until we rise into higher dimensions, which we are doing that, this is a whole shift that's been going on since 2012. But till we rise into those other dimensions, we will still experience duality. And I think that's always going to be part of the physical experience because there's always light and dark. There's always polar opposites. And so the coin always has two sides, right? Just like there's always two sides to every story, there's always two sides to a coin in the physical realm. Now, as a spiritual being, when we return back home, to the essence of where we are, where we spend the eternity at until we come back to reincarnate or incarnate, or wherever our journey takes us, because you get to choose that. But long story short, there is one-sided coins only. That is only one-sided magnets there. There is no polar opposite. It's all light and just light. There is no darkness, right? There's only good. There's only the positive emotions there, not the negative. Now, some people say, well, Doc, how do you know that to be true? Well, I've done a lot of studying this, had a lot of experiments into understanding this. But also what I've also understood is I always ask the question, why, if everything is so beautiful in heaven or the afterlife, then what the hell are we coming here for? Why do we want to be here where you got struggle and the ups and the downs, the collective consciousness, multiple level of consciousness? You got the ancestral curses in consciousness and then you have vibration. There's so much that goes on. And I was like, with all this, why? And then one day it hit and it goes, everything is perfect up there. Sometimes it gets boring and you want to change it up and you want to experience something of yourself. You want to see the opposite. You want to separate because you are totally connected with everybody. There is no separation. And so you want to have a different experience. And so that's what this is, one of those reasons. Now, there's a gazillion reasons behind that, guys. But this is just one that I've learned over time that's been repetitively been true. And it constantly keeps coming through. That I thought has been very fascinating. So with all that being said, when you look at your life, too many times we focus on the one side. And the one side is very simple. You've experienced this when you found that partner you like, right? You start getting the date. You're like, oh my God, this is amazing. You're in that honeymoon phase, right? You're looking at the one side. You don't realize that person has a whole nother side that you haven't experienced yet. It's going to shatter your world. And so what happens is you become massively imbalanced. And then when the honeymoon stage is fading away, all it is you're starting to focus and look at the other side of the coin. And then all of a sudden, those feelings go down. And over time, this is why I think it happens in relationships. I know I've done this in my own, in my past. I've experienced this where sometimes you get so fixated on the other side, the negative side, or you call it the negative side, but you focus on that so much that you forget all the other side of the beauty. And I think this is where relationships fail a lot. Too many times we're focusing on that one side. Oh, this my husband or my wife doesn't do this, or this is how they are here, or this is my boyfriend or my girlfriend, and they do X, Y, Z, and this is what they do. This is how they are. I'm so tired of it. And you just keep talking about it. And what happens is you're so fixated on that you miss out on everything else that's the opposite side of that coin. And so you look at the one side. And if you just took a moment and step back and say, okay, what's all the things I don't like? Okay, great. Now, what's all the amazing things I have? And when you really do this work, and if you really get into this type of stuff, and there's books out there that talk about this stuff, what really happens then is you start to create a balance. You start to see how wonderful it is. It doesn't let you get so high and so low. It keeps you right in the middle. And I think there's a beautiful balance when you can get there, which I think is perfect harmony. And so you still accept both sides, but you look at both traits and it'll keep you more in balance. You can do this with work. Look at your boss, look at your colleagues, which you don't like. A lot of times it's so easy for the mind to fixate on the negative that it's harder to have us reprogram and fix on the positive. Trust me, I'm human. I go through the same thing. It's easier for me to want to dive that way and the negative side than to say, hold up. Or sometimes I'll get caught up in it and I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. That's not where I want to go. Let's rephrase everything here. And so you can do it with that in your career, looking at another person, looking at a profession, looking at XYZ. There's a plethora of things that so many times, and I know I was the one-sided person. I wanted to start a business. I said it was going to be successful. Never did I say it was going to go through struggles. I knew there was going to be hard times, but I was like, it's going to be successful. And maybe that stubbornness paid off because it helped me get through the hard times, even the darkest times. But I think at the same token, I didn't really embrace like the challenges this was going to be. Like looking at the reality, like this could fail, instead of just saying, no, it's not going to fail. It's going to be great. I know it's me. I know I have a confidence with myself to do that, but it's one of those things where not looking at both sides and really saying, okay, this is what you're getting into. Okay. This is not just going to be there's a beautiful one-sided here, but then you get these little things that come with it because nothing's ever perfect. And if you ever hear anyone ever go, oh my God, everything in my life is absolutely amazing. Sometimes you really want to question that. My life is amazing. Don't get me wrong. I love my life. There are things that are what it is, but you adapt to that. Those things I can handle. I can deal with them. They don't get to me. They don't get underneath my skin. They don't affect my balance, my inner chi, my peace. I can handle those. So do I wish they weren't there? Yeah, of course not. But that's part of my life. And so I balance things out because that's part of life. Life is all about polarity. And so the better that we can understand there's two sides to the coin, the better we can create more balance within our life. Because that's how the universe balances things out. Everything with polarity creates better balance and harmony. And so that's why fight that, right? And I don't know where this came from in the history of man. It could have been the existence of humanity, but it was one of the things where where did this, oh, it could be one side only. And that's why, I had an interview just last Friday and I was talking with someone and we were talking about the New Age movement. And not that we're bashing it, but sometimes I went through this where it was like, just think positive thoughts and everything's going to be great for you. And there's going to be nothing bad. Everything will be good. And there is a truth to that. There is. I wrote it in my book, my first book, Rediscover Your Greatness, how everything always works for you. There's always a beauty and always a lesson to grow and evolve. You never lose. Nobody loses. And even though that is true, there's the emotional side that may come with that. If you're in a championship game in the sport and you lose, that's not fun, especially if you busted your behind to get there and then you lost. It's not fun. Emotionally, it's going to be frustrating. But there's going to still be lessons to learn from that. There's things you're going to gain from that if you can look at it, right? A lot of times we get fixated on the one side. Oh, we were losers, we this, we that. It's kind of like the programming of the mind as an inner child. A lot of times the inner critic in our mind is not us. It's someone else. It's cultural programming. It could be our parents. It could be a loved one. It could be a brother, a sister, a sibling, somebody, a teacher. Someone programmed into you and you allowed it. You accepted it as a truth. And when you do that, that's the one side. And you don't realize there's a whole other side too that's absolutely amazing. And I've gone through that because I was one of the individuals who was very hard on themselves, had a very strong critic. So any slight failure, if I was just slightly wrong, it would trigger that. And all of a sudden I'd be like, oh, no, I'm not, and I just want to explain myself and all these different things and over explain, which made it look like I was trying to cover something up, but I wasn't. I was just trying to share the truth, like my truth. But I learned that over time, and you learn to adapt to that. And when I started to learn, like, hold up, I'm not doing anything wrong here. I am trying to be as truthful as I can be with everything that's going on in the moment. And so I learned to, just accept and see another side of me and accept that and not so get fixated on the negatives. And it started to have me fall in love with myself and appreciate myself. And I started to build up a relationship with myself. And when I started to do that, it was amazing because all of a sudden I would start to do that with others. And then all of a sudden, I'd be like looking more at who they are, both positives and negatives, not just the negative side, but both sides, and accepting the individual for who they are. And it was absolutely amazing to start to do that. And it's a beautiful process when you get there, but you have to do it with yourself first. It always starts with you first. You have to be able to, and I'm not like I don't like saying the have tos, but this is just part of the laws of the universe. The relationship with yourself is in the correlation with others. And so the better relationship you have with yourself, how you view yourself and so forth, is going to be the quality of relationships you can experience. Because you can fake it to a certain degree, but once you're stressed, the truth comes out. And so if you are solid with yourself, you will be solid with others. And so understand that there is no one side. If you catch yourself in that one side talk, always take a step back and say, what is good? So if you're looking at the negative, what is good? If you're caught up into too much being good, right? Sometimes I've done that too, where it might have been a company I was going to work with or a program or something I was going to do. And I got so into the good, right? That I didn't look at the negatives. I didn't look at what the struggles may be. I didn't look at the challenges and say, okay, well, this is all great. And I was all excited. And sometimes they say you just want to focus on all the positives. And I'm not saying that's not, there's some mindset tricks with that, but there's a purpose also to, in this podcast, what I want to really emphasize is how to get back to balance. Because too many times we get on the highs and too many times we get on the lows and we don't stay in the middle. And so I remember my life used to be a yo-yo, and it would be ups and downs emotionally all the time. And it would just be one big swing to the other. And that was fun when it's on the high, but it was not fun when it was on the low. I'll tell you that. And there came a point where through chiropractic care, changing my neurology of my brain, and then getting into meditation and breath work and energy healing and so forth, in this long journey of this, it has helped me stay in a very healthy equilibrium where there are times I do get upset. And you can ask my wife, she'll tell you more open-heartedly on that. But for the most part, I stay balanced. And that's always where I've appreciated over time. And so my point of this episode is to share with you the path to staying balanced and not be a yo-yo and be caught into things. Because what happens is the more you do that, the easily you are distracted with things that are happening in life. And the more distractions, the more it pulls you away from your purpose, the more it pulls away from what you want to create, because you're giving your power to something else. And that is the key of this episode and the one message I want to get across. So if you can truly find that balance, then you keep the centered energy within you, you keep your power with you, and you create the life that you desire. Because now you're not wasting energy on too highs and too lows. You're staying centered like a Zen master, right? Or now I want to say Yoda. There's ninja, there's samurai, and I think it's Yoda level. Anyhow, but this is a Yoda level mindset trick, okay? And that is, if you could find that peace and balance and stay there, that's your power. And that's how you can create the life that you desire. That's what I got for you guys today. As always, I appreciate you checking out the episode. If this is your first time, please subscribe so you don't miss ever another episode. We post twice a week. And if you've been a subscriber, thank you for the support. We greatly appreciate it. We've been doing some this message is getting out there to the world. We were up, I think we got last week, we're up like under 50, top 50 in Thailand for mental health, top 100 in, what was it? I think it was health related, but anyhow, appreciate the support. Keep, if you were inspired by this in any shape, way, or form, do me a favor, pay it forward, share it with someone you know who needs this. Appreciate you guys as always. Until next time, keep rocking and rolling.